All right. Hey guys, my name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sion, and this is Swiftfire True TV. TV that's actually telling the truth. Go figure. So I'm super excited today to actually be live and in a lot of different platforms that sometimes won't let me be there, but I'm here. And my co-host is with me today. I always like doing stuff with Craig Walker. He's here. Craig, you got anything to say?
No, just really excited to get delve into this because I've been following Aage and Nori, albeit quietly, and I'm really fascinated with what they've got to say and what they bring.
Awesome. And okay, well, I'm just going to start off real quick, reminding everybody go to swiftfire.org. Please get on the newsletter. That is your surefire way to find out what's going on. If I am banned again on anything, that's where you can find me and you can get some heads up on different interviews coming up or different shows happening, new resources and things coming out. But definitely get to swiftfire.org. And in the meantime, first of all, I would love to just welcome Nori Love and Aage Nost. I was recently in a conference with these guys online with a big group of people and had a blast with them and just really super connected with them. Sometimes that happens, you're in this big thing and there's certain people that you're drawn to. And they actually had me on their show a couple weeks ago and we had some fun on their podcast, and they can tell you about their podcast and the work that they do. But individually, I would love to hear a little bit about your journeys individually and kind of get you guys familiar with our audience and let them kind of know who you are, what you do, what your purpose is, which I know is like a huge, could be all day thing, right? Because our journey is everlasting. But go ahead. How about Nori, you start and then we'll just go around.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. So my name is Nori Love, and I call myself a healing artist because there are many things that have come with me through my lifetime, and that I've studied individually, not really understanding what I was going to do with all of those things. And then they come together under my umbrella of healing artistry. Ever since I was a little girl, birds that have fallen out of nests, injured rabbits, injured animals would find their way to me. And I thought everybody had the same capability to help them get well, to either help them get well or to help them have a peaceful transition. And then I began to discover that, adults would come to me for counsel way before they should be asking, a young girl to do that. And I began to notice that I was a little bit different than anybody else. I studied metaphysics heavily in my teens, was astral traveling every night, had a hard time getting back in my body one night, scared the bejesus out of myself, threw all of my metaphysical books away, and gravitated toward Western medicine. I became a registered nurse. I ended up working in the burn and the trauma ICU, where I demanded that amid all of that electromagnetic chaos and being with people who were steeped in science and Western medicine, that God show me, you show me right here that I'm really a healer, and then I'll be a healer. So, and as the universe would have it, God showed me that I was a healer, and there were miraculous things that happened with people who had 99.9% mortality rates. Wow. So with that, I became interested in life coaching and hypnotherapy, and of course with Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, but I have to tell you, Reiki is just the packaging for the gifts that I came here with. So when I work with people, it's not just Reiki, it's the healing gift that I have been gifted this lifetime. So this year, 2022, I'm, fully out of the closet. I've been helping people bridge the gap between body, mind, spirit, and soul with the bodies, coming from the outside, from health and fitness, epigenetics, to bridge the gap into their spirituality. But this year, I'm just going to come from the energetic perspective and start from the spiritual and the energetic perspective, and then, guide them to their next trajectory. So that was a long story.
I'm just gonna real quick. I know everyone wants to talk, but I gotta say, isn't it interesting how a lot of people in the spiritual healer community will find their route through the medical because they think that's the way, and then they realize, it's just a different way. And I love the Reiki. I'm gonna have to ask you about that after we go around, but Aage, I'm so proud and excited because he's a fellow Norwegian, which I love.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, what? Norway? Oh my God, my people. So yes.
Maybe we should say something to the Norwegians out there about
Norway. Yes.
Hey, I tell you though, Nori is quite reserved about things because she put together a healing center, the Center for Healing, and I really think that she should speak more of that because I've seen some phenomenal results in weight loss and things that she's doing there. And I don't know, I'm imposing on you here, Nori, but I hope it's okay.
No, so, it's okay. It's
yeah.
It's the Center for Radiant Well-Being. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
For myself, I'm an import to the United States. I was born and raised on a farm back in Europe, in Northern Europe, up in Norway, up there, way up there where we have polar bears for pets. No, not
it's
really.
Cold.
But actually, that's not a joke. Actually, there are some Russians in the very northern part that actually have done that. So anyway, I came to I grew up on the farm and I went through agricultural college and became an agronomist, but I figured it out fairly early that this isn't really what I want to do with my life. So I had this dream about becoming a pilot. So I came to the United States at 25 years old, went through flight school and got all my certificates and ratings all the way up through multi-engine instrument instructor and, all this good stuff. And started as a flight instructor, and 3 years later me and a partner, we started a flight school that grew into an international air taxi and an air carrier in Minneapolis. That was Arrowhead Airways. Oh boy, that was a long time ago. And but I had a lot of fun flying through the United States and Canada, and it was great, but after 23 years, I burned out. So I quit flying and I started doing other things. And I started studying the mind. I got to the really enjoyable time. I was teaching the mind development course called ZOX-Pro training, where we were showing people how to fly through a book in about 5 minutes with 95% retention. And this is all possible. And after that, I started doing more research into the mind, and I ended up with some radio shows. And I've been doing radio shows, and I've had TV shows for 6 years, hosting and producing 2 TV shows in Tucson for 6 years. Wow. On all of the stuff that we're not supposed to know about. And that was a lot of fun, and I ended up with a lot of friends from it and some enemies because I got political and I was crawling all over the city council and the state governors. Whenever they did something that was illegal, I jumped in the middle of it and exposed it, and that's not a good thing if you want to stay safe. So we don't do that anymore. We just leave them to the devices because they're perfectly able to destroy themselves. They don't need my help. So anyway, now Nori and I are doing the Broadcast Team Alpha show on YouTube and our website and 3 TV stations and a lot of different places. And we're going to set up some new outlets. I think it's about 8 or 10 different places now we're going out on. So we're having a lot of fun with that. But another thing that we're doing that I'm kind of excited about, not just kind, but very excited about, that is a mastermind group that we have put together.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
Yes, and we're doing some incredible things. We are bending the law of physics and doing, when it comes to healing, we have done a lot of things that really shouldn't happen, but it did. We stopped a hurricane from, well, not just only us, but there were others probably trying to do the same thing. But it was coming up across Cuba as a category 5. We wrapped our mastermind around that thing. And like Nori came up with a term, we wanted it to become a non-event. And in 90 miles, that hurricane collapsed to a tropical storm by the time it hit Florida. And
Nice.
everybody was expecting it to totally destroy Florida. So that shouldn't have happened, because when a hurricane moves over warm water, it picks up more moisture and even becomes stronger. So something goofy happened there. And we understand, maybe others didn't, but we understood what happened. That was the mastermind of all of the people around this country that wanted that thing to fizzle out.
That's amazing. You know, and Craig is very familiar with Bob Jones, and growing up with him being a mentor for me, we would do that too. We would target certain storms, and that seems to be a specialty for me in the past, is just being able to shift the weather. And I think it's fun when you can see it happen. And one thing too with Bob Stevens, who I'm going to have on later, he talks a lot about conscious language, and when we give names to storms, that amplifies it and personifies it, and that's not a good thing. And so that's one thing too. But I know everyone probably knows everything about Craig, but for those who've never watched before, I'd love for you to just give a little background too, and I'll do a little, and then we'll start on the subject topic of immortality. That's what we're going to talk about today. So I love this topic. I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Craig Walker. I'm from the north of England, a place called, well, just outside of a place called Blackpool. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Not too, not a million miles away from where Aage was from, Norway. We're just, I don't know how many miles there would be between us. And we can just about see the Northern Lights here occasionally. I've never seen it because it's usually cloudy if you've ever been to England. Yeah, as Sharnael said, I'm a musician. I play drums for Enter Ascension, a sort of progressive rock group. I've been a musician for as long as I can remember. I'm a drummer. Born and raised in a Christian environment, and sort of had a massive spiritual awakening over the past several years. Massive consciousness expansion, huge things going on with regards to meeting new people. Sharnael and I have connected, and we're connecting with people like yourselves, Nori and Aage, and just having these enlightened conversations, because by having this conversation, we're manifesting, we're bringing things into reality. And for me, that's really important. Talking, it might seem crazy, like some people might just log on and go, controlling the weather, how do you do that? But the technology is there. We have the inner technology to do that. I'm all about the supernatural. I love that kind of, that was the main thing for me in Christianity. There was a lot of emphasis on supernatural dreams and visions, and I was all about that kind of thing. And that's what really spurred me on in that journey. And it took me a few years to be deprogrammed from the religious side of it. And I'm not saying I'm fully there yet. But the coming into truth, that's what matters. The truth of who we are, the truth of what we can do, because we, quite frankly, have been lied to on a massive scale, and we've been shut down. And what's happening, I'm finding, is with conversations with people like yourselves, Nori and Aage and Sharnael, we're waking something up. We're activating something in people. Like, what? I can really do this? Like, yes, you can. Believe it. So I'm really excited about it, because we said before we came on air, Sometimes, about 24 hours before we go live with Sharnael, sometimes I don't, I'm sort of thinking about, what am I going to talk about? And I'll get a download. And one of the things that came to me was immortality, and health and healing and wholeness, and so when you said about, that's going to be the topic, I was like, well, there it is. So without further ado, Sharnael, I'm really eager to get into this conversation.
Awesome. Yes. And for, there's so many different ways to go. For those who don't know me, I'm a naturopath. I've been a conference speaker for 20 years, 20 some years. My background is ministry. I'm an author. I foster cats and dogs on the side. I'm a very, I can relate to your story, Nori, about the birds because, I had animals and worked with a lot of animals. I was actually part of a project in Montauk, the Montauk project, and there was a lot of things that went on with that, which I don't know which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Was I, picked for that because of what was in me already, or did that get honed in because of the project? Either way, going through and shifting some of that and using everything for source code and God and for our creation and moving forward in love here and truth, and did TV for years on actual TV stations, and now moved everything to social media, kind of navigating through censorship and truth and meeting great people like you guys and talking about these things is what I just love. Having these conversations and bringing people to light some of these topics and kind of digging in on that. So the topic of our immortality, the reason why this has just been like a holding space for me, I love epigenetics, and I love just the idea of health and staying in love and alignment with God and source. I've always been really drawn to healing, just the physical, natural of like laying hands and, seeing people in prayer lines and different things happen with miracles. But also what I was seeing over the years of being in ministry is like people may get a shift or a miracle, but then they were going back to their basic habits that had not changed. And so they would go back and lose what they gained because their mindset hadn't changed, their behaviors hadn't changed, which is why I went back to school to get my doctorate and to really learn some of these healthy physical things that we can anchor in the energies to start a new behavior and like to work with what God has already given us. And I went back to school just to honestly learn for myself. I never thought I would have a practice or see patients one-on-one, although that did end up happening. I had a practice for a little while, it flooded, and now I just do remote. I see people and do consultations over the phone. I do bioscans, but we're seeing a lot of miracles. We're seeing things really shift in my own life and people around us. And this topic of immortality, I've taught on dreams and visions, and I know this is a biggie for you guys too. For years I've been teaching on this, and about a month ago I had a dream that someone had given me this necklace, and when I looked down to see what the necklace was, it was just one word, all caps, immortal. And when I saw it, I felt it in my body. I felt like I don't know how to explain it, but I feel it talking about it right now. And I woke up and I was just like Googling the word, really like diving in. Within like a week or so, there was a movie that came out, which I still haven't seen, called The Eternals, which kind of goes along the same theme. And so, yeah, I just thought this would be a fun topic to discuss. And then, and two, going back to the Reiki. So because of our background, Craig and I I didn't grow up in a Christian home at all. But when I moved to the South, that seemed to be like the only way to get friends is to like be in church. And I went that route for a little bit. And I actually went to Bible school. I went to seminary. I thought I would get my doctorate in divinity or theology. They weren't too keen on women in ministry at the time. So I didn't have the body parts for that denomination to serve in that form. So they said, pick something different. So, and then maybe just marry a pastor or something like that, which is bizarre to me now. And at the time I was like, I don't get that. But so I went into wellness and fitness as my major, and then I minored in religion and theology, and because I was just obsessed with the truth, and really, and I still am. But we would do this thing, laying on hands, where you would put your hands on people and the frequency transfers, and I mean, different language now than what I was told, but we saw many, many miracles that way. And then coming into this realm and learning more and expanding in this language, Reiki came up, and we were always told, like, oh my God, that's new age, that's terrible, don't go do that. We were even told, like, don't get a massage because someone might, give you like demons or something, all these weird programs. But, and not that things can't be transferred, that's 100% sure true, but also God is in us, and if we have the mindset of victim, then we can catch anything because we're going to pull it in and draw it to us, or we can just radiate God and like actually touch the person touching us and have that opposite effect of our electric belt, like blasting them and healing them in this massage situation or laying hands or whatever. But can you talk a little bit, Nori, about Reiki and even like how it's the same thing really of praying for someone or energy of what that is?
It is. It is. It's, it's all non-local energy. The same thing. It's the same way that prayer works. It's non-local energy. But technically, Reiki comes from Japan. It's considered to be universal life energy. Universal life energy. It's non-denominational. It is intelligent. It goes. The practitioner, does what they do, and it goes where each person needs it. There's no thought behind it. There's no intention for me except that the person already is, whole, perfect, and complete. That's how I go in when I attune people to Reiki 1 and 2. That's how I teach it to them. A little bit old school in the way that I teach it, but it's universal energy. You can hover above the body, you can lay hands on the body, or you can do it in distance. And it's the same thing as when you're in the prayer line and some little girl comes up to you and puts hands exactly where you need it. How did she know that? It's all the same thing, and it's so beautiful, and it's so powerful. And it's when the two people are in agreement, the practitioner and the receiver, it's like math. I mean, it always works. It's just amazing. Yes.
I love that you mentioned remote healing too, because me doing remote, I didn't realize how much I was actually intuitive, seeing what was going on in the body, even with someone remote. And I know Craig has talked about that, and just intuition in general is like, you think about someone and then they call you, or we're going to talk about this topic, but he doesn't even know, but he knows before we even get on, or, just that whole connection to source and how we get that information. But do you have anything you want to add, Craig or Aggie?
I know the capabilities of Reiki because we haven't talked about this a lot, but about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, there was a lady that came to the mastermind with us. She was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
It was bad.
And Nori talked with her. She worked with her with Reiki. And we used the mastermind to wrap around her. 3 months later, there were no cancer in her body.
Wow.
So I know this works, and this is what Nori is trained for, as well as also maybe helping the person to mold her future into what she wants to be, wants it to be, instead of what's normally is handed to us. But because Nori is also a double certified law of attraction coach, and she talked to the lady about what she wanted in the future, and she had her visualizing what she wanted instead. So this is something that when you add all these things together, amazing things happen.
And
That's awesome.
you never know what's going to put the lock, put the key in the lock. Maybe it's the feeling of somebody's hands on you. Maybe it's you getting that visualization of you that just, triggers it. In hypnotherapy, maybe it's you seeing yourself 5 years from now, and then you come back different. That epigenetic change happens in a nanosecond. That's why it's called spontaneous healing. It's I mean, there could just be a transmission of love, in a conversation, and it happens. But like Dr. Sharnael said, if you receive a healing, you do need to have behaviors that support it, because if you go back to the behaviors that maybe contributed to the breaking down of the body, then you're not going to be able to hold it. Yeah, very important.
That's awesome, Craig.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Another thing that came up whilst I was thinking about this was I've heard a lot of people talking about these med beds as well, which I assume it's similar technology, if not the same technology. I mean, it's just energy, isn't it? At the end of the day, and that there have been people who've actually been coming off medicines and really suffering, and I've heard some people actually dying because they're thinking, oh, the med beds will be here soon or whatever. And it's just highlighting the point that this is about a lifestyle. This isn't a one-off thing so you can carry on living the way you were. This is about a whole new level of living, higher conscious living, knowing what's good for our bodies, or organically good for us, and not diet and exercise, of course, but even your thoughts. What you think on has a direct effect on your physicality and on your world around you. I was thinking of what was it now? Yeah, it was Alex Collier. Actually, I don't know if you've heard of Alex Collier. He was saying that basically this technology will actually amplify what's already in you. So if you're in a negative vibration, you don't want to go on these things, because you've got to it will amplify what you believe about yourself, basically. Have you come across sort of belief systems that have hindered sort of this sort of work?
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing this up, Craig, because I agree with you that our technology is the same as what's in a med bed. But isn't it interesting that we as human, spiritual, immortal beings can believe more in a technology that we haven't seen yet instead of our own power? It would be so much easier just to lay in the med bed, go, woo, okay, that's different, then come out and be different, rather than, the one-to-one, right? The beautiful heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul, spirit-to-spirit exchange. And then you come away going, did it really work? Did it work? And both people could say it, the recipient as well as the person healing, and that's been trained out of us. If we could get back into that, perfect, whole and complete that we are equally as powerful as those med beds. Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing that I just think is super dangerous, and I love that you guys are bringing this up with the med bed thing, and just the belief of these systems and or medicine or some type of Western situation, which can work for you if your belief is there, but also it can actually super harm you. But even 2 years ago, when this whole news whatever's going on in the world happened, there was so many people were sending me messages saying, like, what do you know about the med beds? What do you know about the med beds? Because so-and-so's dealing with this and so's dealing with that. And they were like stopping everything they were doing because people had been putting out that this is going to happen any minute. And so instead of trusting in themselves and continuing the good lifestyle, or green juice and supplements, or any Western situation, they were like giving up and thinking, oh, because next week we were told this is going to happen, and they ended up dying. And I just think that's really dangerous if everyone puts in all their eggs in this basket of Santa coming back, or a certain political person, or a certain medical thing that's going to happen and change the world. I mean, even if things were released this very minute, it's not like we're all going to have one in our basement tomorrow and just get this magic, you know, beam that's going to make everything better. And again, like I say all the time, we have the technology. The technology is in our DNA already. It's our belief system to turn on that DNA and those technologies to actually see ourselves shift and do it. And I think that's part of our whole journey here, is remembering that we're connected to source and that we are creators. And creation is also about fixing our own self and our own health and our own abilities and intuition and whatever, manifesting. And Aage, what do you got to say about that? I know you're big on epigenetics and immortality and
yeah, one thing is knowing how to do things, but more important probably, or almost equally important, is knowing why. Because quantum mechanics now are telling us both evidence on the blackboard as well as experiments that we live in a mind-created universe. So if this universe is mind-created, our mind is part of that. So we can create things in our mind that shows up in our physical reality, because the physical reality is mind-created too. So now we can decide what we want to see around us, or our health, or anything that we can imagine our physical reality. And then we go after that with it's a spiritual language, it's not one of words, it's one of emotion, gratitude, love, and feeling. There's something that has been proven also, that the prayer is the feeling. If you have feeling of love and feeling for health in it, it can help. So this is something that if we understand that, we also understand that we can create absolutely anything in our life to benefit us. And that reaches into epigenetics. Epigenetics is both the mind and the environment around us, including supplements. And these days, it's kind of important with supplements, because we may not be thinking about all these things all the time. And that's, like vitamin B1 and D3 and zinc and things like that to keep your immune system up. That's very important. But more so also, this one here is what I've been doing. And did you know that in 2009, 3 doctors got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that reverses the aging process?
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody told us. I wonder why. That should have been the most extravagant health news this millennia. But nobody, it's a taboo. Nobody can talk about this. Of course, we understand why, because now what's going on these days in the world.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if we take that information from 2009, a lot of it has been improved on and better understood by now. And see, science has figured out what causes aging and death. There is, even the back at the Genome Project, they figured it out too, and they said, yeah, it's a it's a nutritional deficiency, and then you have a genetic disorder and a mental disease that causes aging and death. We can understand that. See, the body is a self-correcting machine. If we give it what it needs to replenish itself, it will do that. And then a genetic disorder, that is because the pituitary it dries out, so it doesn't create as many growth hormone as we might need and things like that. So we can recharge the genetic code by using the principles of epigenetics. We can turn on the good markers and turn off the bad ones by the way we think and our environment. If you're smoking, it's going to hurt you. If you drink, it's going to hurt you. There's a lot of things that will hurt you. But if you do the right things, eat the right things and take the right supplements, you're going to flourish. You're going to do good. And then the mental disorder, I hate to say this because I know I'm going to get some flack on it, but it's religion. And, and see, the thing, every religion out there tells you that you're going to grow old and you're going to die. Well, I don't believe that. I don't accept that. I don't go to funerals anymore because then you accept it. And the thing about it is that the body is perfectly well able on its own to create this enzyme that will stop or reverse the aging process. This enzyme is called, first of all, I guess I should say, you can promote this enzyme by taking a supplement called astragalus. That's what I do. And I buy it by the pound. And
What's it called?
Astragalus.
Astragalus. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, yeah.
And by taking that, you get the body to create its own enzyme. And what we're doing is actually reversing the effects of the aging. And when we do that, all age-related diseases go away. So, and I talk a lot about this in the book that I wrote about what I do. And of course, I take a lot of other supplements too. And and I think that this is something that everybody can do. I have a book on the shelf. In fact, I got it here in the office up there. And there were doctors that wrote about saying that astragalus is just as effective as the pharmaceutical version of it in order to reverse the aging process. There's been experiments done with this. And in the papers on, if you go to the Nobel Committee's website, scroll down to 2009, scroll down again to medical submissions, and read the papers. You're going to love it. Because in there is a statement. One of the doctors wrote in that if everybody had enough of this enzyme in the body, there would be no need for anybody to die from old age anymore. And when I read that, and I said to myself, there's something here. And that's what I've been doing. And the telomerase is the name of this enzyme. And you can Google it. Actually, don't Google anything. Just go to DuckDuckGo or something else. But you will read what it can do. And this is something that we also can turn on and off when it comes to the genetic part of it by the way we think. And in this, in fact, I have no shame. I can show you the book. Here it is.
Thank you. I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. I talk about what I do and what it takes to do what I do to reverse the aging process. In 2 months, I'm 76 years old. Gosh, man, oh man. Well, that's the rumor anyway. I'm not so sure if it's true.
Just a number.
Yeah, just a number. But I have more energy than anybody half my age, and I can probably outperform most people of that age, except for maybe powerlifting. That might beat me. But otherwise, I've never been sick in my life because I've done some other things. I do the Tibetan rites. You can Google that one, and you will find out what that does to keep your body both healthy and never have any aches or pains. So there is, when it comes to what's going on these days, there is some, that global calamity going on.
Yeah.
I found that there is an antidote, and I buy that by the pound too. NAC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
I take it daily.
yes, and there's one thing. Now, those I would never be without, and also Asea.
See ya.
That will do also things for your genetics, and also it. I have found that it also creates electrolytes in the body. It builds up your electrolytes to keep the body electrically healthy. And Nori can talk a lot more about that because she deals with that on a regular basis. I just take it.
Awesome. Yeah, it tested really well, and NAC they took off the market. So that's, of course, anything that is going to help you, they're going to try to hide. And I got a little heads up that they were taking it off, so I went and bought a bunch. So, but
Mhm.
Craig, what do you have to say about all of this?
Well, I was just thinking when you were both talking. I've heard that we look at ancient texts, and people lived for a very, very long time, like thousands of years. Now, that's been one of the things that has come under heavy criticism of like, well, that can't be real because people only live for sort of 70, 80 years on average, But seems to be a time in history where and apparently this can be genetically proven. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know the science of it. But that there is something in our genetics. There is a program that has shortened our lifespan to what people live to today. And what I'm interested in is, can we alter that program? I mean, just most people have a subconscious program that we get old, we decay, and we eventually die. Are you then saying that we can stop that program? Is that what we're suggesting here? Yeah.
Yes, yes, we can.
Hmm.
And there is medical experiments, medical science papers showing that um, what what actually causes the aging part of death is the shortening of the telomeres at the end of the chromosomes inside your cells. If you're able to keep the telomeres from shortening, they will be able to replicate themselves. Because if they shorten so far that they next to nothing there, then the end of the chromosome start fraying and the cells are no longer able to replicate themselves. And you get stuck with old cells in the body and you get older and older and you die. If these telomeres are there holding the chromosomes together, cells will keep replicating. And this is something that was explained in the Nobel papers. And I think that for someone that would like to extend their life, that is one thing, but also stay healthy up to the age of 100, 110, or even more. This is coming.
I agree.
I think it was Time magazine about, or maybe a year or two ago, they had a title on the front page: the first person that will reach the age of 200 has been born.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
So it's not me saying this is science. And of
Right,
course,
and not living to 110 and being in a hospice or like in a home somewhere that you can't care. I'm talking about like
Healthy. Yeah.
feel great, like
Strong.
lifting weights, running,
yep.
healthy 110, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to the the thoughts and how it affects the body, because when I had this journey, how I got here is I found myself really sick after 17 years of being on 6 planes a week and doing conferences and not eating well and not sleeping well and just really being busy and not slowing down to have balance. And um, I went the Western way for 6 years trying to find the answers. And they just gave me more meds that gave me more side effects. And I was on, 30 different meds that all did terrible things, and maps and charts to take this in the morning and that at night. And these two can't be together. And this has to be with water and this has to be with food, and just the mental of all of that. But so I found a doctor, and that's what really inspired me to go back to school. Is I found a doctor who is an MD, but also worked with energy and all these machines and stuff. But also the big thing that when he tested me, he said that 86% of all dis-ease has to do with emotions and thought patterns. And when they tested me, he found that there were 29 traumas lodged in my body from my limbic system, had just like a librarian had put them in my body, and they stay dormant in wherever muscles, organs, until it's time, and then it shows you signals when it's ready to release and or transmute. And we don't always see those signals as, oh, it's time to let this go. We see this as like, oh, let's go get a doctor and turn this off, which is parallel to like if you need an oil change and the light goes off and you're like, let's just take the light off. And so we don't have to fool with that sound and that light and bothersome, but your car is going to explode if you don't fix it, right? So our bodies, we got to listen to those signals, or we get to listen to those signals. And it's good that we're talking about this so people can be trained to have a perspective of, oh, no, this is just a message. But yesterday I was at the clinic, and I was working with this same doctor, and by the way, he moved out, he helped me move out just with mantras and essential oils and different things, belief systems, imagination. I got those 29 down to 4, got off all my meds and dropped 80 pounds in 4 months. And I know weight loss is a big thing for you too, Nori. And so we've seen a lot of these miracles with just like mindset shifts. And, but yesterday, I was dealing with a certain patient, and this doctor and I work together now, and we tested to see, is this a physical issue or is this an emotional issue? And it was 99% an emotional issue. So you can do all the physical things, but if the mindset isn't shifted, then those things won't anchor into this is a big radiation. This goes, what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, what you're feeling is a huge radiation into the field and to our cells, which are projecting in our bodies. And so speak a little bit about that. And then also I do want to say, someone actually brought up in the comments saying, oh no, we need the med beds because med beds do this, this, and this. And we can't do that without the med beds, because so it's, you could talk about all this, but no, we need them. And so that goes back to his belief system. If you believe in that thing instead of your own technology, then that's what would be true to you, Mr. Guy who said that. So, but if you have the belief system that you were born to do this, you were born, he even said like, oh, but med beds grow limbs and we can't do that. Yeah, we can. It's been documented. Psychological issues, physical issues, all, people growing limbs, people coming back from death. So talk a little bit about that in the immorality topic. Go ahead, Nori.
Well, I love that all of this is coming up, because the thing that I've really become more clear on is that with all of these modalities, we can help treat people where they are. So if you believe that the med bed is going to be the only thing, well, then that med bed is going to hold space for you while you heal. But maybe you need hypnotherapy, maybe you need some, psychological healing, some emotional healing in order to support the changes, right? So that med bed can hold the space for you while you heal, and then you need adjunct treatment. And then the same thing for some people, the healer can hold the space for them, and then they feel the change, and then they receive adjunct therapy. No matter, maybe it's osteopathic medicine, maybe it's supplements, maybe it's oils. All of those things are very valid. So we need to figure out where the person is coming from. Don't just lock into that, but say, what else is possible? Okay, if this is going to work for you, right? We are multidimensional. What do the other dimensions of us need? And the bottom line for all of them is the frequency of our thoughts. You can buy the most fabulous piece of meat, right? If you eat meat and you're going to put it in a stew, but if everything that surrounds the stew, the liquid and the herbs and the spices are bitter, that's going to come out bitter. And that's the same thing with ourselves. If we are angry because of what happened to us in the past, if we're angry because of the victimhood that we experienced, if we're insecure, that's a frequency that we're constantly giving off, and our cells are reacting to it, and that plays into, law of attraction. So changing the mind, I think, goes part and parcel in whatever else you believe. If you believe it's Western medicine, we'll work with your mind too. If you believe it's a med bed, we'll work with your mind too. If you believe it's a healer, work with your mind too. Because the frequency of our thoughts is what shapes the outside. Not just shapes it, but shapes our relationships, our house, the experiences that we're having. If you want to know what you're thinking, and I know this is difficult sometimes, if you want to know what you're thinking, look at what's going on in your life. If you have that repetitive relationship, you keep changing people, but it's the same scenario, it's the same drama, it's the same narcissistic abuse, well, then that's because there's something in your frequency that is drawing that to you. So that's why we need to go in, and it can be simple. We don't have to, monitor our thoughts every minute of the day, but you can begin to notice, when do I feel uncomfortable? When does my stomach get tight? When do my shoulders come up around my ears and my fists are in a ball, right? That's when you can begin to go, okay, I don't feel good right now. Let me take a look at this, right? You can do a little biofeedback and then work with somebody to help you to begin to shift the thoughts around that. You don't have to go back and do the primal scream. You don't have to go back and confront the rapist. Been there, done that. You don't have to go back and confront the people who hurt you. You just need to begin to reach for thoughts that feel better, that tap into our immortal, divine, beautiful, whole, and complete frequency that we really, really are. We really are. Sorry.
Yeah,
that was a soapbox. Sorry.
That's amazing. No, I love it. And before Aggie goes, I just want to, before I forget, food. I love that you brought up food, because we always prayed over our food, and it was more like a religious thing. And I'm not religious at all, but we got to pray over food. But there's frequency to that. And then even with weight issues, if we eat, and I'm not saying eat junk food, but if you have something that you're going to eat and it happens to be not the best for you, and you have like guilt about it or shame for yourself, that actually infuses into the food, and your body has a ricochet effect.
Yes.
Versus like infusing everything with love and infusing the people who made it with love, because that's an issue too. Be careful who made it for you when you go wherever, and that's a good reason to bless food that is given to you. But by the way, please share and tag, get this video out, because I know that there are people that this is going to be a great help for them in this season. Do your due diligence. I hope you guys can share and tag. But Aggie, what do you got to say about belief systems, growing limbs, relying on things instead of belief systems in our own body?
Well, the mind is a lot stronger than what we think it is, and it can do a lot more than what we can imagine. Because if we are in a mind-created universe, we create the medbeds too.
Exactly.
They are a fiction of our imagination in this holographic existence that we create. This is explained a lot better in the book that I'm talking about, that I showed you. Now, if the mind can do these amazing things, we can direct it. We can direct it through law of attraction and visualize and feel what we want. Not just here, but also here. By the way, there is a brain in the heart. It's got 75,000 neurons in it that creates feelings and has an interdimensional connection to it, hardwired to the brain. You know more about that, Dr. Sharnael. But another thing is that seek out things that is very simple. In fact, I'm going to take 30 seconds and tell you something that I've been using for decades. Decades ago, my martial arts master told me if you do this one thing, you will never be sick in your life. And I said, yeah, what is it? And he said, no, it doesn't work that way. First, he says, you promised to do it, that I will tell you. So I promised, not really thinking that I would, but I have. So he said, sit down, take 20 deep breaths until you get dizzy. Keep doing that for 3 to 5 minutes. Stay slightly dizzy for that long, because you flood the blood with oxygen. Oxygen gets everywhere in the body, and it snuggles up to virus and bacteria and kills it. And that works because in 1931, Dr. Warburg got the Nobel Prize in medicine for discovering that no bacteria or virus can live in a heavy oxygenated and alkaline environment. So if we alkalize the body and do this, we could call it hyperventilation, and that's fine. I'm good with that. But if we do that, we stay healthy. We don't get viruses. When I'm around people that got runny noses and stuff, I do this at least once a day, and I never really have any problems. But that are other things. And then, of course, we can look around, go into websites that has natural medicine like yours, and look for the things, the simple things that we can do. We may not necessarily understand why, but if it works for someone else, it should work for me, because it's a good likelihood we're both humans. So chances are that it will work. And we can look for these things, but keep your immune system up, and also use your mind to heal yourself. And that's why in this book, I teach people how to use their mind in ways that you normally would think would be impossible.
That's absolutely superb, because I'm just thinking, whilst we're having this conversation, it's so important that we talk about this stuff, just to open up paradigms and create neural pathways, and just suggest even just the possibility of doing this stuff. Because we've touched on it briefly, but I'm just going to go a bit deeper. We're in a situation where probably most people in the world right now are terrified of death. They're terrified, and because they're scared, they're being controlled, and they're making what is, in my opinion, very poor decisions for their bodies. And again, no judgment if anybody's accepted the thing that we don't talk about. But for me, just breaking this fear of death. Talk about in the Bible, it says that death is the last enemy, and just us having this conversation. We're bringing this into the psyche, into the collective consciousness field, and we will create this, and we will manifest this. And as we're putting this out over the airwaves, I mean, I'm watching the comments. There is so much interest in this topic, because healthcare is one of the biggest ways that they've controlled us. And it's that they have dumbed us down to think that we need chemicals that aren't good for us in order to bring a certain measure of healing. Now, people have got healing from these drugs and stuff, and I'm not knocking it in that sense. But as our consciousness is expanding, as people are becoming more aware of who and what we are, we've got to have this conversation. We've got to say we are more powerful than we've been led to believe. We are more capable than we've been led to believe. Our immunity is divinely created. Our whole system is divinely created. And I'm grateful for doctors, and I'm grateful for health services. I really am. But where we've been, in my opinion, has had its day. And this. I'm not going to say this is the future. I'm saying this is now. This is what we're shifted into. And I think, people like yourselves are going to be very, very, what's the word? In high demand in the very near future, because I mean, people are hurting, they're suffering in their bodies, and just a switch in them can change it all. I think about, Dolores Cannon, the hypnotherapist, QHHT. I remember reading some of her stuff, and she would tap into the subconscious mind, And she would tap into the area that was manifesting an illness in the person's body, and she had miracles, so many miracles happen in her little room under hypnotherapy. Terminal diseases healed because she got to the root of the problem, which is a subconscious thought program that was manifesting the sickness in their body. I personally just think this is super exciting that we're having this conversation. So thank you very much, guys. I'm really enjoying it.
So good. So good.
Craig, I want to just ask you too, because since you're being a musician and that's frequency, you asked if this can change, but they changed the music frequency years ago to as an umbrella in this field to be a different frequency.
Yeah.
Already. I think just music can do some main thing. Do you have anything to speak about that, you guys?
Absolutely. Frequency music is so powerful, so powerful. But just like being careful who cooks your food and be careful who puts hands on you to make sure you have that good, free feeling about it. Sometimes I'll turn on frequency music and it'll make me,
I know
like
what you mean.
and like, that's not for me. And I'll just keep searching until I find one that's really compatible with me. But I think it's powerful. I've seen people use healing frequency to do remarkable things in their bodies, and their emotions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another thing we can do also, go to YouTube and find some healing frequencies there. There's a universal healing frequency of 432 hertz. You find it on YouTube, turn that on real low, and then go to sleep. Run that continuously. I found one that runs for 11 hours, and that takes care of my sleeping hours, So just run that all night, and then you're submerged in that frequency while you sleep. I don't know what it can do, but according to experiments that has shown that frequency restores the health of cells, I'm going with it. So we can do that.
Yeah, Michael Terrell with whole tones was a big part of my healing process of just listening to that. I had it in all the rooms of the house most of the time, and I think Craig is familiar with him a little bit. But what do you have to say about it, Craig?
Yeah, well, as I said, I mean, we play rock music and stuff, but it's not about style. It's not about taste. It's literally about the science of frequencies. And as you said, Nori, which I think is really important, it's intention as well. Like you say, I mean, I listen to some music from musicians who are in 440 hertz, say, and it does something to me. One of my favorites is Pink Floyd. I think Dave Gilmour as a guitarist does something to me when he plays. Okay, it's not 432 hertz, but there's an intention there. There's something in him that resonates with me. Yeah. But I think as we learn the science of this, I mean, my band called Anti-Ascension, we play in. Well, we did an album with 432 hertz, then we did one in 444 hertz. We've just been doing a bit of experimenting. We're actually going back to 432 hertz again. Cool. But we've played even just small venues and stuff, and we've had people come up to us and gone, I don't know what it is, guys, but when you're playing, I feel something here. I can feel something happening. Now, we know what's going on, but we go, oh, that's nice, But we know that something's happening. And particularly when in a rock sort of environment, it's very loud. It's quite overwhelming if you're not used to it. I mean, some people, obviously people love it. But we can use this environment. And I can see concerts being more productive than hospitals. It's just a big healing room where people come in and just get re-centered, re-energized, healed emotionally, mentally, physically. And I've got this vision and this dream of this happening, and I love to connect with people like yourself, because I'm not the scientist I shouldn't say I'm not, but I appreciate the people who have this knowledge and this experience. And I've just loved the conversation. Thank you very much.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, go to, Nori and I have a website that we should really recommend you to go to have a look. Broadcastteamalpha.com. That's broadcastteamalpha.com. We got a lot of short videos that explains how to do many of these things that we talked about. And also, Nori talk on law of attraction, how we can mold the future and decide what we're going to have in the future. And then, so we can, I'm losing my words here. We can create the future before we have to live it and bring things into our existence. This is fairly simple. I didn't say it was easy because there's a little bit of effort on our part, but these things, once you understand how they work for you, so go have a look at that.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we are coming up at the top of the hour. I'm just going to go around and let everybody say some final words here, especially going into this new year. There's new energies, new beginnings. There's quite, we could take the ride with these energies and actually do some new things for ourselves. And I know, for me, I'm doing a lot of clearing. I'm cleaning and getting rid of things. I'm making sure that the things that I have that, have a purpose and are serving me well. I'm really reviewing what I'm doing with my physical body and my mental body. I'm making lists. Going back to what you were saying, Aage, with Nori's work, and I think she does a lot what I do when I do coaching, is the imagination is so powerful. It's I love the word imagination because to image a nation, we can actually image our own nations, our own selves. And the limbic system is interesting because the limbic system cannot tell the difference between fake or real. What is reality? And so as we imagine or pretend to as if it's happening 5 years ahead or 3 years ahead or even a year ahead or 6 months ahead, and we lock into that feeling of what we feel in our hearts as we are in that space of whatever you're imagining, the limbic system takes that information and says, oh, this is happening. Because again, it doesn't have time or space. It just goes, this is now. And so when the now is really 6 months from now, and then your brain records it as this is happening, there are chemicals that are released in your brain that saturate all your cells in your body, and then that's projected into the field, and then you magnetize your situation to you, which is the law of attraction, and your heart is more magnetic. So thinking about things, feeling how you feel about those things, I feel so happy when I'm doing blank, or I see myself with my partner and we're on this trip and we're doing these things with our children and our children are saying this back to us, and or we're in this retreat center and it's already been paid for and we're seeing people come and have healings and collaborating and enjoying and smiling and eating good food and kayaking and on the river, and or just whatever you make up what your perfect scenario is. But as you can lock into that and have those feelings, then this is how creation works. And I talk about it in my book too, The Science of Miracles. The Science of Miracles, remembering the frequency of love. As we tune into that love of why we're here, and then imagine the specifics and the details of that and put our heart into that and our mind to that and lock into it and not have, the fears and the doubts and, oh, well, that won't happen, because if that trips up the energy, then you kind of have chaotic code that goes out and you get this chaotic result, basically, because it's like you don't believe it, you're not staying in there into that locked position, then you can get stuck. You have this I guess stuck energy where it's you're in a holding space of nothing. So that's what I'm doing I'm writing down things, I'm imagining, I'm putting words in places, I'm getting ready for this new year and using the energies. What are you guys doing, and what do you encourage people to do in this time?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
Whatever we allow to dwell in our mind the most, that is what we're going to have in our life. So we got to be careful with that mind, not allow just listening to other people goes in and create a subconscious mind program. So if we control what we allow to dwell in our mind the most, we're going to be a lot further off. And that's one of the things that is our job to do. Nobody can do it for us. It's a little bit of effort with that. We may have to distance ourselves from some people who's negative all the time. And we may have to redo our thinking a little bit. Maybe we just have to get some better friends, But there is important for our further both physical and mental and spiritual growth. We got to do it.
Beautiful. My whole foundation of everything that I do is for us, for you, to be you full out. When you are about the process of being you full out, you are always reaching for the next experience, the next conversation, the next relationship that feels better. And the thing that I do always during this time of year is, what do I want? What do I desire? And what do I believe about that? If you take a pen and a pad and you say, what do I desire? I desire for impeccable health. What do I believe about that? Well, I believe I get sick a lot. Wait a minute, what? Or wait, where does that come? What do I believe about that? Well, I believe that my mother was always sick, and I believe that her mother was always sick. When you start writing this out, you yourself can get to the core issue and go, nope, I don't believe that. And then put in what you believe. And that's how you're going to be manifesting all of the beauty and the love and the radiance and the health that you are meant to have.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Brilliant.
It's energetic purgatory whenever if you don't really know what is going on up here and in here on autopilot, sometimes we're just like feeling and thinking and we're not even realizing what we're thinking and feeling. And yeah, definitely you guys share this. Tag Craig, what do you got to say? Final words for
I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people. I put a Facebook post out recently because a lot of people are quite hopeless at the moment. When I say hopeless, like they've lost hope in with all the agendas, everything that's going on with regards to healthcare and viruses, etc., all the politics, and people are just like exhausted and worn down. And I think having conversations like this, I really hope and pray that it reinvigorates people, that we can treat a new year as a fresh start, and recommit, remember, and I think that's just an important thing to think of now, is that we have a new earth to create, we have a new world to manifest here. And that's why we're here having these conversations, and we need to transcend the crap that's going on. And I'm speaking to myself here, by the way, as well. I'm not saying I've got it all sorted out, but what I am saying is that I'm on a journey and I'm learning to maintain joy and happiness and contentment no matter what. And we all get in funks, we all get in low times. And again, like you said, Sharnael, before, which was really important, don't feel guilty about these things because you're just going to make it worse. Just accept it and get out of it. Your choice and your will is powerful. So when we're frustrated and stressed and anxious, don't beat yourself up about it. Just remember, we are safe, we are loved, everything is engineered for our benefit. That's the nature of the universe, and we can't lose, as long as we maintain and transcend and keep our vibration high. So I guess that would be my final thought.
That's awesome. So tell us your website again one time, Nori and Aage, so people can find you.
You can find my current center at the Center for Radiant Wellbeing.com. Centerforradiantwellbeing.com.
Awesome. And Aggie?
You can get me through broadcastteamalpha.com, and of course my book is on Amazon and places. So and also on Facebook, just friend me. I accept just
Yes.
about everybody. So that'll be.
Even people with cat profile pictures.
Yeah, got some
Awesome.
interesting stuff on there for you to see. So
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Craig, where can we find you?
Oh, yeah. Again, I'm in a band and Ascension. I'm on Facebook, Craig Martin Walker. That's my full name. That's because, you know, I did set up 3 accounts because I kept getting banned, but they've all been linked now, so it's pointless me having the other 2. What I didn't mention before as well, which I would like to mention, is my wife and I do run a crystal shop. I would have loved to discuss crystals with you guys, but we're having out of time. Crystalfalls.co.uk. Any UK people out there, check us out, send us a message and be in touch. It'd be great to hear from you. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, please go. You guys check all these people out. Get the books, connect with them. Nori does coaching and works with people one-on-one. You know, they have a podcast too. Lots of great videos. You guys checked out their interviews, and their teachings are amazing. Definitely go to swiftfire.org too. You can find some great resources, books, teachings. We're having a workshop come up here for this new year coming up, 2022. It's hard to believe that this is actually 2022.
I know.
But as we are leaving, I'm going to just remind everybody to please tag and share, get this out. You never know who's having like a low day, and that this can actually bring some life to their pocket, their area of where they are physically, mentally, emotionally. You know, I love to encourage and inspire, and I think this has been such an inspiring, encouraging conversation for people to have hope and to remember that we are creators and we can do this. And actually, before we leave, if you're okay with this, I would like to do like a quick imagination for ourselves in this season. I've not done this in a while, but if anyone would like to just participate, I would love for you guys to take a moment, because the more the merrier, and we can, you know, shift our own energies as well as this world, even like just that, and just with this handful of people. But imagine right now your cells inside your body. Just see your cells within your body, and see a bright light through your cells radiating like electric blue fire. Just imagine your cells, imagine that permeating through all your organs, all your blood, all your muscles, every limb in your body. Imagine this beautiful, bright, piercing sapphire blue light just going out into your body, touching every organ, your fingertips, your hair, your bones, throughout all of your entire body, all going out into past your body now, past everything physical of what your skin is, into this beautiful infinite field of possibilities, field of love, and just permeate your 6 to 8 feet radius all around you. And just imagine that blue light radiating out. If you don't like blue, pick fuchsia, pick white, pick red, pick whatever your beautiful inspired color is, and just see that color in your field, touching everything around you, touching your home, touching the room that you're in, the chair that you're sitting on, the car that you're in, wherever you are. Let that color, that radiation touch everything in your body, all the way out of the field, all the way into your room, all the way into the rooms. If you're in your home, in your office, in your car, let it go to your whole block of where you are. Imagine that color, that radiation, that love completely going outside of your cells, outside of your body, outside of your field, outside of your community, into your entire state of where you physically live, into your entire country where you physically live. See it permeating and just completely immersed in all of creation, and birds, and trees, and in the grass, in the fields, in every building, of every post office, every school. all the malls, every office, every business. See that light of love infusing your entire country. Every government official, every doctor, every teacher, every student, every mom, every dad, all your family. See it now going across the sea to every country all around the world. Just see love completely touch everything that exists in this world, all around the world, all out to the sky, all out to the galaxies and beyond. And hold that space. Hold that as you go out today. Hold that as you drive around. I'll go to the market or to your school to pick up your kids, or to your class if you're in school. Just remember that radiation and keep that in your mind and in your imagination, that you are sending out love and you are touching love and you are touching others with that love everywhere you go, with everything that you do today. Every person you contact, you're igniting Christ. You're igniting love. You're igniting peace. You're igniting truth. You're touching every person with Christ consciousness, with Christ love, with immense truth, peace, power, healing. Let healing touch the earth. Let it ooze right out of you in your own body, into your field, and into everyone that you contact today. And keep that, hold that space, and practice this as you go throughout the day today, and see what happens. See what comes to you. See what opportunities you have in this space of time that we call now and that we call today. And I would love to hear your miracle reports as you practice this with us today. And just keep this exercise in your mind as you go about your day-to-day things today. And again, I would love to hear what miracles happen, what checks come in, what collaborations happen, what phone calls you get, and how this is going to have this ripple effect throughout the world, shifting even crime, shifting weather, shifting whatever it is that we choose to keep this world in love, staying in peace and truth. And just remember, I love you. I adore you. We are all rooting for you. We are voting your victory, your peace, your healing, your miracle today. We are seeing and we're putting our love and our inspiration, encouragement, and victorious energies towards whatever it is that you desire in your healing and your in your outcome. We're voting your victory. And we just love you so much. And again, thank you guys all for being with us.
Dr. Sharnael, what you just did, you created a mastermind. For everybody that participates in this now, or Tuesday next week, or 4 months from now. See, what we did, the image of what we created leaves the physical, going into the unified field where past, present, and future is all there as one now. And when we go there and participate, we are participating next week in this moment. So that expands what you just did right now. And that's what we do on the mastermind with Nori and I and our group also. So if you want to be part of that mastermind, send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And you can also participate on what we are doing. Now, it's important that go ahead and do this tomorrow and the day after, because when you think about it, you give it a low form of life that is extended into the quantum field, and it's there for you to attach to it anytime.
Yes. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Love you guys so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please do share, tag, get this out, and help us to shift the world, literally. I love all of y'all. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.